Andy, you're fine, but you're simple.
The brainless bombshell known as the bimbo is one of our most familiar tropes, but recently a new brand of half-wit hottie has been gaining recognition. Enter the himbo.
He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be dumb and polite.
Like their bimbo counterparts, the himbo's requirements are simple. They're hot, kind, and kind of stupid.
Hey guys, which one of these makes me look more like a doctor? Me playing saxophone or me listening to saxophone?
And if we look closer at those traits, we can see what's so appealing about them. Hot comes in countless shapes and sizes, but the himbo is usually defined by his masculine strength, whether he's lean and athletic, cuddly yet capable, or a Herculean hunk.
He'll do press-ups and chin-ups, do the smirch.
And he's lucky he's good-looking, because the himbo often doesn't have a lick of common sense.
Yeah, I got that there, Isma.
It's not always pure stupidity, though. The himbo is so optimistic about the world, he might come off as gullible or naive.
Good-looking kid like you think you just gotta show up and poof, you're a movie star, huh? Well, that ain't how it works.
Really, the himbo only thinks the world is nicer than it is because he's so nice. Why wouldn't we all be?
I feel like Tom really needed the money and small sacrifice to see one of your best friend's dreams come true.
In fact, unlike other powerful men, the himbo is neither aggressive nor condescending. As Priya Ilan at The Guardian claims, the himbo might just be the antidote to toxic masculinity.
Who writes letters these days?
I thought it seemed romantic.
He's not a new invention, but our recent interpretations of the himbo are increasingly relevant. In a world that's become more flexible about gender norms while more critically examining manhood in the wake of Me Too, we're left to wonder what an evolved ideal of masculinity will even look like. And if we can look past his exaggerated stupidity, the himbo could be the answer.
Here's the thing about me is I can be super helpful, but when you ask me stuff, you have to be real specific.
Here's our take on the himbo as a model of a more modern masculinity and what we can learn from the character who knows he's not the smartest person in the room.
You should listen to me. I came up with hundreds of plans in my life and only one of them got me killed.
You're watching The Take. Thanks for watching and be sure to share and subscribe.
Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come together to take classes that fuel their creative journey. The first 1,000 people to use the link in our description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. So become a member today and start exploring your creativity for less than $10 a month. The himbo defies a common expectation in our gender roles. Men are supposed to be better at just about everything.
I think men are better than women.
She's kidding.
No, I'm not. They provide for us, and we must obey them because they are our masters.
But the himbo isn't the best or the most capable, not by a long shot.
I have no idea what's going on right now, but everyone else is talking and I think I should too.
He represents a new masculine ideal, one with the power to disrupt the sexist dynamic of smart men dominating dumb women.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm stupid!
Well, that's no reason to cry.
That stereotype of the dumb woman has persisted for decades. The bimbo has long been a vapid Barbie type, known for her pretty plastic looks and a complete lack of critical thinking.
Whoa, this is the Oval Office. Why did they call it that?
But when it was first coined, the word bimbo was actually used to describe a stupid, aggressive man. Over time, the word became gender neutral, before it eventually transitioned into being an insult that's exclusive to women.
And here you thought I was just another bubble-headed blonde bimbo. Well, the joke's on you. I'm not even a real blonde.
The bimbo, like the trope of the dumb blonde and the girly girl, is rooted in misogyny. The word shifted from women to men so easily because we've long held on to the perception of women as mindless decorations. The term bimbo became so intertwined with mocking women specifically that using it to describe a man is inherently a joke, not just about their intelligence, but their masculinity.
Because I know how they all see me. It's Kevin's working class bimbo.
I can't imagine that's what they think.
It is.
Really?
Yet the male bimbo has always existed, we just didn't know what to call him.
Elaine, he's a male bimbo. He's a Himbo.
But as the blockbusters of the 80s came to be dominated by brutish, muscle-bound bodybuilders, Washington Post writer Rita Kempley coined the Himbo to describe them. Kempley also broke down what makes the Himbo so captivating, writing, "Their chest measurements rival Dolly Parton's, their brains would embarrass a squid, they're bombshells with a Y chromosome. Bimbo be gone. Hollywood has blessed us with the Himbo."
You got picture potential. You're a big fella, but you're vulnerable, so men won't find you threatening.
Although at first we knew the Himbo primarily by his looks, by the 90s, sociologist Michael Kimmel identified a significant distinction among types of Himbos in his book Manhood in America, A Cultural History, noting that there are fundamental differences between Himbos made for men and those made for women.
I don't like men with too many muscles.
I didn't make him for you.
The Himbo that most appealed to male audiences was a real man's man, typified by action heroes like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils?
He was a regular man of the people who just happened to have an impossible shoulder-to-waist ratio.
Where did you get the name Italian Stallion? I invented that about 8 years ago when I was eating dinner.
This version of the Himbo clings to that patriarchal ideal that men should be useful. He makes up for his lack of intelligence or social grace by being skilled at something else, which means he can still be an aspirational figure for men who regard themselves as exceptional.
If I can change, you can change. Everybody can change!
He may be a muscle-bound moron, but he's still uniquely qualified to save the day. But the Himbo that appeals to women isn't destined for glory, necessarily.
Jean-Yu is a hot dummy, definitely my type.
His main purpose might be the same as all those bimbos before him, looking good.
They're so pretty.
This kind of Himbo doesn't need to bring anything to the table besides his chiseled abs, strong chin, or flowing locks.
How much for the Cheetos and water?
The Himbo for women was also a gentler type of he-man, one who's genuine and kind enough for us to ignore that he's not the brightest bulb.
Beth dies? Is that true? If I keep reading, is Beth gonna die?
And it's this version that evolved into our current idea of the Himbo, one who's hunky, well-meaning, and mostly harmless.
You know, an aquarium is a submarine for fish.
It's a less ambitious yet more easygoing idea of the archetype who appeals to female and LGBTQ fans alike, reflecting something those groups want to see more of in masculinity, namely accepting that it might be someone else's turn to lead the way.
It's impossible.
You and the women taught me that nothing is impossible.
Why are we holding out for a Himbo? We tend to idealize him because even if he is a little dim, he's ultimately the stuff of fairy tales.
Actually, they used footage of me from my high school swim team to draw Prince Eric.
He's easy on the eyes and generally sweet-natured, which makes him someone that just about everyone likes.
Do you like yourself?
What's not to like?
But he's also the natural remedy to a few other male tropes we've grown increasingly tired of over the years.
Well, you know how men are. They think no means yes and get lost means take me, I'm yours.
The Himbo is most closely related to, yet most directly opposed to, the meathead. The meathead is also known for his brawn, yet he's all muscle, no charm. On screen, he can be downright primitive.
It's not right for a woman to read. Soon she starts getting ideas and thinking.
Relying on his strength to intimidate and overpower, the meathead is the pinnacle of the patriarchy. But the Himbo uses his strength for good. His most powerful muscle is his heart.
If I have to choose between one evil and another, then I prefer not to choose at all.
And unlike the meathead, he's more in touch with his sensitive side, a valuable quality if you're looking for someone romantic.
Hey, you cry every time somebody talks about Titanic. Those two had only each other.
This also puts the Himbo in stark contrast with the nice guy. Although the nice guy tries the sensitivity angle as well, he's just not as genuine. He thinks being empathetic and invested makes him more deserving of romance.
He's gonna use your ass and throw you away. God, I would have died for you.
You can see their differences illustrated in Friends Ross and Joey. Classic nice guy, Ross is actually kind of a jerk to Rachel, the supposed love of his life.
Kind of ditzy. Too into her looks. Spoiled.
Meanwhile, heartthrob himbo Joey turns out to be a much better friend and boyfriend to Rachel, treating her with love without expecting anything in return.
And I remember all those mornings before you even put on your makeup when I would think to myself, my God, she is beautiful. It was worth it just to be there looking at you.
Although the smart guy is positioned as the anti-meathead, we see that nerds perpetuate their own brand of toxic masculinity.
You know, for a group of guys who claim they spent most of their lives being bullied, you can be real jerks.
The nice guy who also believes he's being victimized because of his intellect can result in extremes like incels. Bitter misogynists who believe themselves to be superior, so they take out all their relationship failures on the women around them.
For the record, she may look like a 34C, but she's getting all kinds of help from our friends at Victoria's Secret. She's a 34B, as in barely anything there.
The incel underworld has given us terms like the Chad to describe the sort of conventionally attractive himbo men they resent for taking the women they feel they deserve. But the himbo doesn't see women as his to possess, and that's precisely why he's appealing, even if he's not the brightest bulb. He's smart enough to know that what women find most attractive is respect.
I'm not even sure what country Jane's in. Her work on the convergence has made her the world's foremost astronomer.
The himbo is a staunch optimist, which makes him seem naive or impressionable.
I wasn't a failed DJ, I was pre-successful.
But it also makes him a welcome breath of fresh air compared to the cynic. A lot of our male protagonists adopt this cynical air. Cynicism is often conflated with being funny, tough, or cool.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need.
Yet it's also a downer. The cynic sees the world as inherently demoralizing, filled with too much suffering and moral ambiguity.
I discovered at a very early age that if I talk long enough, I could make anything right or wrong. So either I'm God or truth is relative.
In his mind, the cynic is above it all.
If this were my career, I'd have to throw myself in front of a train.
But himbos avoid this condescending attitude, content with who and what they are. Women who are used to getting talked over and down to by the cynic have a lot to gain from the himbo's laid-back take on the world. They might even be listened to for once.
You like puzzles and little monsters on your pencil and some guy named Mark Ruffalo. You're a fierce competitor and a sore loser.
On a superficial level, the himbo may seem to have a lot in common with the man-child, as both tend to be underestimated. Both seem to struggle with basic tasks, and we tend to find a lot of humor in their shared inability to function in the world.
They hung up?
I was just not into that conversation.
Kevin, I'm really gonna need you to try a little harder.
But the man-child's laziness always prevails. He's usually self-aware about how much he's taking advantage of the people around him. You can see the difference between these two types illustrated through Andy Dwyer on Parks and Recreation. While he's dating Anne, Andy is definitely a man-child, and not a very good person at that.
I really, really like it when you serve me food.
But once he gets involved with April, who's not as inclined to do everything for him, Andy evolves into the superior, more lovable himbo. He puts in way more effort to make April happy. That's just what himbos do.
It's really important to me that April loves camping, so I went ahead and set up the ultimate campsite love nest.
We can appreciate the himbo for a similar reason. He's designed to make us happy, and this provides a model for improvement to those who practice toxic masculinity and offers hope to everyone who deals with it.
I'll get over it. That's my thing. It's kind of perfect.
But how are we ever gonna break up?
I don't know. Maybe we never will.
A beautiful, self-absorbed simpleton who can be manipulated and molded like Jell-O.
The himbo's more recent celebration within female and LGBT spaces isn't really surprising. As a trope, he's been tailored to an audience that feels like it hasn't been respected either.
So I feel like you were mad at me yesterday, and I don't know why. So I made a list of everything I did, and I'm gonna try not to do any of them again.
For example, the himbo shows us the inequity in how we treat women when it comes to sexual attraction. When a woman dates a himbo, she's disproportionately criticized for being shallow.
What?
Different for a man.
We're expected to be superficial.
TV comedies have made a whole sub-trope out of the one-off himbo who dates a main female character for an episode or two, while her friends predictably mock her for it.
Nothing boring about him, and bet he's never even set foot in a museum.
Well, maybe he'll get to go soon. You know, like on a class trip or something.
Never mind that all the men in her friend group have usually had their fair share of superficial love connections.
I think I'd look way hot with some ink.
Yeah, you would.
Some have even suggested that the obsession with the himbo's body borders on objectification. One of our original himbos, Rocky of the Rocky Horror Picture Show fame, is almost literally an object. He's a dream hunk created by Dr. Frankenfurter, built with some confusing reanimation science and notably just half a brain.
You've got to choose between me and Rocky. So lame got to the rocks in his head.
And for many a himbo, there is an element of objectification. His great looks and limited intellect might mean some people don't see very far beyond that.
You guys think that he's dumb too?
So
airbags are
A
sharper.
lot is lava, but just as thick.
But being objectified is just another thing the himbo has in common with his admirers.
Guys whisper behind our backs about how we girls look every day. They objectify us all the time.
And since the himbo knows what it's like to be ogled or demeaned because of his looks, he's unlikely to treat anyone else that way.
How absolutely terrifying and smooth and hairy.
Could I trouble you for a covering? Perhaps a shirt?
Rocky himself may not be all that self-conscious about being ogled. He is, after all, only a few hours old.
Just 7 hours old. Truly beautiful to behold.
But when Glee's Sam Evans plays Rocky in the School Musical, he recognizes what it feels like to be so exposed and potentially judged.
Is there a way I could wear like some gold board shorts or something? These are really short and I'm afraid I'm gonna show off some nuttage.
Sam shows us how the himbo understands innately the pressures of being defined by your body and just how damaging that can be to your self-esteem.
I mean, if I miss a workout or eat a hot dog, I hate myself for a few days, but the fact is, I gotta look the part.
The himbo offers an empathetic character that many can relate to, on issues ranging from body image to sexual harassment to just generally being thought of as lesser than others. He's a comforting presence, regardless of whether you find him attractive. For example, it's a well-known truth that lesbians and their emotional support himbos have a pretty legendary bond.
Tammy Thompson's a girl.
Steve.
Oh.
The fact that he's such a comforting, protective presence to so many has played a big part in his resurgent popularity.
Liz, it's okay to be a human woman.
No, it's not. It's the worst because of society.
He proves that masculinity itself isn't inherently toxic and that the picture of manhood can and will change, one hunky idiot at a time.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
We mostly associate the himbo with men, but his core values and his occasionally surprising wisdom make him a good role model for practically anyone.
If you're always frozen in fear and taking too long to think about what to do, you'll miss your opportunity and maybe get sucked into the propeller of a swamp boat.
It's why we've had to grow the vocabulary around him, like the thembo, defined as a non-binary or gender-neutral version, and the herbo, which is a dumb, attractive woman who's known for being buff. Meanwhile, real-life celebrities who have been defined as himbos have embraced the trope, happy to recognize all the good that's in it, centering kindness, rejecting aggressiveness, and never being afraid to look less than capable or laugh at themselves.
I mean, it was hard to turn him into a badass. I mean, look at me.
The himbo's stupidity is mostly exaggerated anyway, usually so we can have a good laugh, a very noble and himbo-esque goal.
Is she even Italian?
Her name is Bella.
The himbo implicitly offers a reassurance that we don't hear very often. Trying to know everything is frustrating and ultimately fruitless, and it's the source of a lot of our unnecessary angst. Just knowing that puts the himbo a few steps ahead of the rest of us.
I love that kid. Dumb as a stump, but I love him.
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified about all our new videos. This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community that offers affordable classes designed to fit your schedule and skill level. With Skillshare, you can discover creative, entertaining workshops that help to break up the monotony of a day spent inside. One Skillshare original you can check out right now is Mango Street's class on product photography. From concept to creation, the duo will teach you how to shoot incredible images that make your portfolio or Instagram pop. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. But that's only if you're one of the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below. So join today and jumpstart your creative journey.